Hi guys, and welcome back. This is video 2 for chapter 10 for microeconomics. We were discussing what an oligopoly is, what monopolistic competition is in the first chapter. We went over the characteristics and we went over examples. Now what I want you to know is that they are both price searchers. As a matter of fact, all the market structures are, except for, you got it, perfect competition. That is the only price taker. And you've seen the slide before where we compare the two. So we're looking at price setters or price searchers. We are not looking at price takers. What they are right here is what price searchers or price takers. This means the price is always going to exceed the marginal revenue. It means they do have some control over prices, and it means that their graphs, when you're working with them, look like descending, proper downsloping curves for the demand curve and the marginal revenue curve, just like this, right? This is perfect competition. This is price takers. So price takers over here are going to look like that. You're going to have a demand curve that is above the marginal revenue curve, and they're going to look like kind of scissors pointing down, but the price is always higher. So just a little bit of a quick reminder, we have done this before. For all price searchers, the price exceeds marginal revenue. If you remember when we did this, we went over it last time, and I went over it more thoroughly for chapter 9. By all means, go back and look at it, but you're always looking at, if you missed it, you're always looking at price exceeding marginal revenue for all price searchers regardless. Okay, we are now on profit maximization for monopolistic competition or an oligopoly. They all work like a monopoly because they're all price searchers. So if you understood that from chapter 9, and I'm sure you have, then this is exactly the same. There is nothing different here. Just a quick reminder, you're looking at a graph where the deciding factor is the intersection between the marginal cost curve that looks like a Nike swish and the marginal revenue curve, which is like the second blade of a scissor that is like the green one right here that downslopes. This is the deciding factor, this intersection. So for this one, the reason there is a profit is because the price is higher than the average total cost. And this is clear as day. What's the price? It's 105. We know this because you take it from the demand curve. That's this one, the red one. If you take it from the demand curve, so this intersection tells you which points you need. You need all the points in a row here. It's like bring a ruler, and if this was a paper and pen thing, you just put a ruler down and you go, okay, this is my deciding factor. The quantity is 5 right here. The average total cost is taken from the average total cost curve that looks like, you see, that looks like a smile, sort of, a wedge. And then you come over here and you find out that it's 80. And then you continue up to this point and you come across and you find that it's 105. This means that each unit is making a profit of $25. There are 5 of them. It's maximized at 125. If you produce more, the profit is going to be most likely lower. If you produce less, the profit is going to be most likely lower as well. Now, minimizing profits is also the same graph that we've done before. Now, it says monopoly, but it doesn't matter. It can be oligopoly or monopolistic competition. So again, the deciding factor is the intersection between the marginal revenue curve in green and the marginal cost curve in blue. And you can look at last chapter's discussion for a lot more detail because, I kind of broke it down. This one is a little bit faster because you're familiar with it now, and I don't want to bore you to death. So here are the 5 units. Here's the price taken from the marginal, from the demand curve. And you look at it and you go, okay, what is our price? The price is $112.50. What is the average total cost though? Because the average total cost is above, see how it's above the demand curve, which makes it above the price in this case. Then you come over here and find out that it is 125. That's a problem. Each unit is losing $12.50. There are 5 units. The losses are minimized at $62.50, meaning this company can cut back the losses to $62.50, but they can't improve it beyond that. It can't be 60, it can't be 50, because once they start producing under 5, they go to a situation here where the price and the average total cost are even more far apart. So it doesn't work. Now I want to show you a comparison here a little bit. Now let's put them all together. This is something that I have for you in your outline, but let's just go over it together. We have 4 market structures. I have them listed from least elastic to most elastic. They're all in the elastic range. Look, even a monopoly is going to be mostly in the elastic range, and this is part of your homework, and take a look at it and see what we mean. We're looking at elasticity of demand that exceeds 1, but here are some ways of understanding it. For a monopoly, the elasticity might be 1.1. For an oligopoly, 1.4. So it's more elastic. They're both elastic, but one is more elastic than the other. Monopolistic competition might be 1.7. And perfect competition, it's infinite, which is why it's perfectly elastic demand, right? Now, all 3 are price searchers. The only price taker is perfect competition. For the price searchers, which are the monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition, you have price that exceeds marginal revenue. Price equals marginal revenue only for perfect competition. So I'm going to kind of go to a slide in a minute and remind you of what we're talking about. And for all of them, X marks the spot. So let me bring up a slide we've seen before. This is perfect competition right here. This is price equals marginal revenue because price overlaps, it's taken from a demand curve, and the demand curve overlaps with marginal revenue curve. So even though this says D, it's also MR. But if you look at a price searcher, you will see that the marginal revenue and the demand curve are no longer horizontal or overlapping. They form this scissors that actually downslopes right here. So this is what we mean about you're always guided by the X, which is marginal cost and marginal revenue. Here too, here's the marginal cost and here's the marginal revenue. It just happens to also be the demand curve. That's what tells you what is the ideal quantity, what is the ideal price, what is the ideal average total cost. Now these are breaking even points, but it doesn't change the fact that they're taken from this intersection right here between the marginal revenue and the marginal cost. We go back to this one. See, they all have that X marks the spot. There are 3 price searchers. They are monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition. They're all in the elastic range. Monopoly has a combo, but it's more than 80% elastic typically. The only exception down here is perfect competition. It's perfectly elastic. It's a price taker, and the price equals marginal revenue. So that should really help you do the compare and contrast very simply. In this chapter, we also have price leadership theory. That's kind of good to understand and go over a little bit. Price leadership happens when you have an oligopoly and one of them kind of hijacks the market. And the odds are, or typically what we see, is a homogeneous product. So you have 2 or 3 companies, like in the case of OPAC. Okay, OPAC is an oligopoly. You have, in the case of companies that sell a particular kind of oil, right? If you buy from company X or company Y, you're getting the same exact oil. But it is possible for this to happen. Price leadership is a scenario where one firm sets the prices and other companies in that industry follow the same price. That's why it's called price leadership. So one company sells, I'm going to sell this at $80 per barrel. Other companies are forced to, because it becomes a market price at some point, consequently. Disadvantages. Unfavorable to small firms, they're going to be gobbled up, which is why in something like this, an oligopoly can become a monopoly. And then it may result in unemployment, and customer is at a losing end. So this is double O, it's losing, it should be losing. Okay, this is misspelled right here, but it's okay, this is not literature class. So what we're looking at is a situation where price leadership theory hurts the consumer, hurts the market. It makes prices artificially high because it dilutes or removes competition. The types can be barometric, collusive, or dominant. The advantages: no price war, boosts profitability, beneficial to customers, delivers more value. In the sense that it is possible for a company like this to garner the market only when their prices are actually lower, which means they are delivering more value because they could be faster, and they could also be like deliver faster and price lower, depending on how it actually happens. It ends up giving a company, or because a company has large market share, because it has a trendy knowledge, because it's technologically advanced, because the product is homogeneous, those prerequisites can lead to the ability to price lead. A cost leader is a company that enjoys the lowest cost of production, while price leader is a means one firm set the price and the other companies in that industry follow the same price. So definitely when you have a company that's able to undercut other companies by producing at a lower ATC, that's going to be an extreme advantage. Okay, this is basically where we are. One company has a certain set of prerequisites. It has a certain set of conditions that allows us to actually control the pricing in a market. Anybody that wants to compete with it has to price what it does or lower, and consequently it feels it's so dominant. It's almost like monopolistic behavior. Not almost, but it's almost like a monopoly instead of an oligopoly. Now, a little bit more. Price leadership theory does carry over to a cartel. What's a cartel? I'm sure you've heard of the drug cartels. These are competitive companies that come together and collude. And they collude by agreeing on these three things predominantly: price restriction, output restriction, and jurisdiction. What's a restricted output? Take, for instance, there are 5 boroughs in New York, and those are the 5 crime families in New York, right? They're jurisdictional. 5 boroughs, 5 crime families. It's really not a surprise. And it doesn't have to be about illegal things. Here are examples up here that aren't like illicit markets. They are perfectly fine markets, but they stay out of my territory. You know, this is my town, this is my area, your area is over there. What's price fixing? Price fixing is when they all agree not to charge below a certain price. So first they each have a section. Then they say none of us will sell this product at this quantity at less than this price. And therefore they establish a price floor that's too high. And the reason I have this ladder is in a competitive market, you might have various prices from various sellers. And in this one, everybody is charging a high price or higher. Nobody is charging less than that. And over here, they restrict output. What does that mean? They agree not to release on the market above and beyond a certain quantity. And when you restrict quantity, you guys know this from chapter 3, the less inventory there is on the market, the higher the price is going to be, because that's a leftward shift in the supply curve. So now you naturally have higher prices. Then you superimpose a high price floor and you create jurisdiction, which means you become your own monopoly in your own area. Other examples are OPEC, Qantas Air got in trouble for that. There was at one point in the US an issue with eggs where the chicken producers went and reduced the sizes of the cages so they can be forced to have, for cruelty reasons, you can only have so many chickens. So by shrinking the size of the cage, you have fewer chickens. Now they're laying fewer eggs, and then they were exporting more eggs than normal, and that made the price of eggs domestically much higher. Fine art, where various auction houses fix prices, tomatoes, so it happens all over the place. It's just a matter of do they caught or don't they get caught, and it doesn't all have to be like drugs and weapons. It can be just tickets for concerts. Anytime you feel like companies are coming together and they're colluding in such a way to restrict how much is available, force prices to be up and stay up, and they kind of give each other room so they can dominate a section of a market, then you are looking at a cartel. Okay, you guys have a wonderful time with your exercise. I think you will like it for this chapter. Like always, you reach out when you need anything. I enjoyed having you. I will see you in chapter 11. Bye-bye.